we will be crossing to our Abuja studio as we continue the conversation on the life and times of President Buhari. Joining us is Buba Galadima, a chieftain of the New Nigeria People's Party. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program. If you can hear me, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
All right.
Good morning.
All right. We were just in conversation with you a couple of weeks ago, and it's a pleasure to see you, but under such sad and unfortunate circumstances. I'd just love for you to begin the conversation by sharing the moment you received the news that Muhammadu Buhari was no more, and the immediate feelings and thoughts that struck you as you digested the reality of that news.
Well, thank you very much. I received the news of his passing on just less than an hour after he died. And I was very shocked and completely taken aback because it was, of course, it was unexpected. We knew that he had been ill, in and out of hospital, but we never brought such a gravity of issues like death this time on the general. So that shock had not yet left me. It kept reverberating in my system, especially the times we had very closely and worked closely for good 15 years. Of course, I knew General Buhari far back, 1975, when he was made the military governor of northeastern state of Nigeria, which was nearly 1/4 of the country, and today comprises the states of Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe. General Buhari had some very close civil servants that worked with him that the nation had, in fact, forgotten. One of such people is the Walin Katagum Alhaji Adamu Aliyu, who was his private secretary. Later, Dr. Mahamud Tukur, not the one in Kaduna, his junior brother, was brought in for some few days as his private secretary. Then he left, and Alhaji Abubakar Mamu was brought in as his private secretary when he was the military governor of northeastern state. And in fact, Alhaji Abubakar Mamu was also throughout his principal private secretary when he was head of state. Of course, those that had worked with him closely, you cannot forget Major Jakolo, who was the immediate past emir of Gondu. These people had worked closely with him more than some of us who worked with him during his political sojourn. And one would remember the general for several positive things. Of course, every human being has got his good and bad side. All of us have that. But I want to make one remark. In our culture, and indeed African culture, people don't speak bad about the dead. And things that had happened in some areas which has been highlighted, people speaking negatively, that is not an African culture that people could be happy when somebody dies, irrespective of the gravity of what you accuse him of. That has not been a proven cases, and as statesmen, people work frontally and also under the table to stabilize the system. Some of us with whom he had worked closely, because there was a hostile takeover of him from our hands, pray for him, pray for his soul, and we wish that God will forgive him of his infractions as a human being, because death is a path. He that died, he has not gone there too fast. And those of us who are alive, we are not late. It's a path that every human must follow. So to this extent, one mourns the demise of General Muhammadu Buhari and has forgiven him of whatever infractions he had on us as individuals or on the polity of the country. Thank you.
Alhaji, it's a very sad one for all of us, and I know you shared very, deep relations with him prior to this time. What has been the relationship like in recent times? I know prior to this time you shared very deep relations, you admired him so much, but what has been the relations in recent time?
Well, you can't talk of the recent time until you speak about the past. Some of us, of course, many individuals have got their stories to narrate about how they brought Buhari into politics. But some of us stand unique, especially our leader in the Buhari organization. For the 15 years that we had been with General Buhari, Alhaji Sule Yahya Hamma, who is alive, well and hearty, one of the most intelligent people I have ever worked with. There was also late Air Vice Marshal Muhtar Mohammed, who was a minister with Buhari, and when Buhari was overthrown, he had to leave the military in protest. Air Marshal Muhtar Mohammed was the ideologue, very intelligent and eloquent speaker who had mastered the language of English more than his native language of Fulani. These are the people, together with some of us behind them, that formed the Buhari organization, the political vehicle that brought Buhari into prominence. Of course, even the tongue and the teeth, who stay always in the same house, they sometimes fight or they sometimes disagree. This is human, and we worked with the general and took him to a level where the nation or the electorates of Nigeria have to recognize his potentials. And this is why he got attracted to certain individuals who behind the scene had plotted to take us, make a hostile takeover of the general politically for their own political interest. And we parted ways after his election because it was a built-up issues. And when I see some people eulogizing General Buhari on television or on radio, I laugh because when we were with him solely working for his interest, there were our main adversaries who tried to make us not see the light of the day. Me, that I speak to you now, I had gone through the crucible of intimidation, harassment, deprivation. 38 times, Rufai, I had been arrested, interrogated, even undergoing treason trial, where I was tried for trying to overthrow the government of General Obasanjo in 2004. People forgot all these things because they were latter-day friends who came in with the sole purpose of achieving some political ambition and casted us in a very negative way over things that we fought them against. So we politically disagreed, but that does not mean that we had no respect for each other. Of course, me and him had not met in the last 10 years, one-on-one, but that does not mean that I didn't cherish our past relationship, which was for a stretch of 15 years, because I was the operational head of his political machine. And the world know, I mean, Nigerians know, the world know that some of us have stood for him. And that time, and even in death, because if God wills that something will happen for some of us who are Muslims, we cannot question the wisdom of God. So I feel really distressed to learn or to hear about General Buhari's death, because there are certain things, whether you like General Buhari or you don't, you must give it to him. One of which is his humility, one of which was his delegation of power and authority to a fault, which some people see as his weakness. But he's a man of the old order who believed that everybody knows what is right. If he gives you an assignment, you know what to do. But I always question, of course you know what to do, but you must supervise him and keep an eagle eye on how he does this. That's why a lot of people took advantage of him.
If I may interject at this point, you know, as you're speaking about some of his qualities and, you know, some of the things that transpired, just very quickly, we are going to just put this conversation on hold. We'll come back to continue speaking with you. As moments ago, the Deputy Senate President Jibrin Barau arrived in Katsina State, and he spoke to our correspondent, Nisi Gabriel. Let's take a look at that conversation.
The people of faith in this country, we believe that we all die one day. And I said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, that we come from God and to him we shall return. So the only thing we can say now is that we pray that may God forgive him all his sins and reward him with all the good things he has done in life. And may he rest in Al-Jannah Firdausi.
What are some of the profound memories you hold dearly of our great leader? And what should we expect today? When do you expect the remains of his body to arrive?
Well, he was an astounding leader, somebody who was a man of integrity, somebody who stood for the truth, somebody who never wavered on the part of looking at the fact that integrity is the watchword, that is the main thing, is a pillar for every human being. He stood for that, and he will remember for that. He did his best for the country, and we pray that may God reward him abundantly. Yes.
So that was the Deputy Senate President who has just arrived in Katsina, as of course several dignitaries do continue to make their way to Katsina for the burial today. Sir Alhaji Buba Galadima, I'll come back to you in Abuja. You know, you're speaking about some of the late president's qualities, but my question to you is, in the perspective of legacy, so many conversations are being had. What do you think President Buhari's greatest achievement was? What is the greatest legacy, in your opinion, that he has left for Nigeria?
Well, the greatest legacy that the president left for Nigeria is his attitude, his humility, and his love for the poor. You cannot take away that one from him. He's a man of law and order. He was a man of law and order who believed that everything should be done according to the rules. But of course, he has some weaknesses in implementing that, because you just can't leave human beings because you set rules for them without supervising them to do what you expect them to do. So they took advantage of some of these weaknesses. Of course, you could have seen that he stood against the Western imposed policies of the IMF and the World Bank. And immediately that is removed, you have seen how Nigeria catapulted into misery when the prices of commodities skyrocketed, the exchange rate had gone out of the roof, and we are still grappling over that. These are issues that only a strong person, a strong-willed person, can stand against some external influences. And, you know, there were pressure on demand to allow foreign military bases in this country, which silently under the table the general has stood against. Now, some of these things are creeping themselves into the Nigerian system. So his legacy is perseverance, patience, and humility. If we can follow some of these attributes, Nigeria could be really a great place, and our children and grandchildren, and even those that are yet unborn, would know that somebody had worked for the system to work. I think I can see this as some of his achievements, without talking about infrastructural development, because people have got their limitations. And I would want to borrow from General Gawan that he did his best within the limits of his capacity.
Okay, Alhaji, we will still come back to you because there's a lot I'd like to ask you. because you had not spoken to him in 10 years. You were a very, very big critic of him. And this dimension of respect you still have for what you shared is a very thoughtful one for me, and it's a very deep one for me. And I'll urge you earn my respect even more, today. But I will come back and talk to you about all of that. We'll keep tabs on proceedings in Daura. And right about now, we are going to be joined by Ayo Adelaye. He's currently with some family members of the late President Muhammadu Buhari, Nuhu Daura, nephew to late President Salisu Muhammad, and nephew to the late President Sani Daura, and his grandnephew. Ayo, put them on. Let's ask them a few questions, on how they feel this morning. Okay, Ayo, go ahead. Just go ahead and talk to them.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. And like you pointed out, we have some of the very close relative to the former president, the former late president. But here in Daura, we are presently inside the residence where the former president will actually be buried in this particular compound. And day or minute by minute, seconds by seconds, dignitaries continue to arrive at this particular residence to pay their last respect to a man they so much loved and they so much cherish. First, I'm joined by what Nuhu Daura will join us to speak to us about the former late president. Good morning, sir. Let's meet your name.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. My name is Nuhu Daura. I'm a nephew to the last former president.
All right, so how did you receive the news about the death of one whom you cherish so much?
Well, the news of the death of our uncle, Muhammadu Buhari, came as a shocking news. It was with deep heart and with devastation. We received this news on Sunday late evening. In fact, I spoke with some of them there in London. They told me about he's okay, he's feeling well. Just around 4:30, the news came. It was shocking. It's something that I can not explain in my life.
All right, what are some things that are so unique that you share together, and what are some legacy of his that you are going to miss so much?
Well, to say legacy that we miss our uncle, I don't think the words can explain how I feel. We grew up together. He grew up when I was just 11 years when I lost my dad. So basically I can say he's just like my dad. So he teaches us humility, love, compassion, honesty, and discipline. So it's a great loss to the entire family. It's a great loss to the people of Daura and the nation entirely.
All right. Earlier you told us that you are on your way to Katsina State now. Is there any update that you have regarding the arrival of his remains?
Well, we are still communicating with them. The planned expected departure time from London to Daura was 7:45 London time. So I'm sure at this moment they are on air. So we're expecting them to land in Katsina hopefully around 12 noon or 1 p.m.
All right, so expected to land in Katsina around 1 to 2. So, and how soon will the remains get here? Looking at the means of transportation and what source is it coming by?
From Katsina to Daura, it's just a close distance. It's a distance of 30-45 minutes. But I'm sure due to the convoy along the way, and I'm very much sure all the way from Katsina down to Daura, people will line up to pay their respect to our former president, our uncle. So hopefully by 3 p.m. we're expecting the body to be here in Daura for the Muslim burial, which according to Islam, it doesn't take much time for our deceased to be buried.
All right, thank you very much. That has been a bit of update from one of the nephews to the former late president. I will bring in another family member who will also speak to us about the former late president. He's also going to share with us his legacy, what are some of the things he missed. Good morning, sir. Let's meet your name, sir.
My name is President Muhammadu.
All right. Who are you to former late president?
I'm the first nephew.
All right. You are the first nephew. So what are some? How did you receive the news first about the death of him?
Definitely, I'm shocked. I believe everybody who is alive one day she will die. But Mr. President died at a time we needed him. We can't say anything, just to pray for him for his arrival to the heaven by the grace of God.
All right. In particular, what do you think the people of Daura will miss about the president, about the former late president?
We lost a lot because he's a man of jovial. He's honest. He's somebody who is very religious, very jovial with anybody. He's one advice. He's always giving us try to become average, not poor. He's a good Muslim and he's an elder to us. He's the only one we have now. Him and my father, same mother, same father. All of them died. So we can only pray for them and wish them successfully for the arrival to the heaven. And we pray for them and the family continuously to our life.
All right. Lastly, what lesson do you think Nigerians can learn from late president?
I wish we can get at least copyright, somebody who will at least show the example of what he has done. At least he has put a good foundation for the nation. But God say this is not the time she will remain. So our prayer is to get somebody who is very reasonable and honest somebody who can keep Nigeria clean as she wished to before he died.
All right, thank you very much. Hopefully we'll bring in the last person who should join us for this interview to also share with us some of the legacy or some of the things that the late President Muhammadu Buhari will have done for especially the people of Daura, not just the people of Daura alone, but the people of Nigeria as a whole. All right, so I think that it will be that from here in Daura. Probably if there's any question from the studio.
Okay, thank you so much, Ayo, for your lovely job you've been doing since morning. All we just want is if you get a chance to speak to more family members, if you can bring them on, let's speak to them more, because it's Buhari's day today. Okay, please go ahead.
I said it earlier that we were supposed to be joined by one more family member. Thank you, Rufai, for that. Let's meet you. Your name, sir?
I'm Alhaji Sani Ibrahim Daura.
All right. Who are you to the former late president?
Well, I'm his grandson.
All right, so we have his grandson here, and let's hear how did he receive the news of the death?
Well, when we had the news about the death of the former President Muhammadu Buhari, we feel very sad. We had the bad news, very sad. But they're telling us since over a week, they're telling us Baba has already died. But we didn't confirm until last 2 days. When we were sure Baba is dead, we were very sad. Not even our family. The whole Nigeria, not the whole Okasina, the whole Nigeria or Africa in general. And the whole, we miss Baba. Baba contributed a lot to Nigerians. We only have to say that may he raise his soul raised in perfect peace. We have nothing to say about Baba. Baba done a lot to our country. Very courageous, disciplined, honest somebody, and transparent somebody. So I can stop here because I don't want to talk too much. All my cousins have already spoke with you people. Thank a lot. May his rest, perfect peace. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Rufai, and the other guys in the studio. We've heard it also from his grandson, who has also shared how much he missed one whom he cherished and one whom he regards so much.
All right, thank you. So like I said, Ayo, lovely job you've been doing, great work, great shift to be putting in. If you see more people that want to talk to us about, just alert us and we'll get it. I want to come back to you, Alhaji Galadima. Alhaji Galadima, you've not spoken to President Buhari in 10 years. You are a firm member opposing him in those 10 years, but you still have this level of respect for him. I mean, what keeps you going on? You never agreed with most of his policies. You never agreed with the corruption that happened in his government. You were against the corruption, against the politics, against the high-handedness, against the, perceived nepotism across board. But this is you, still having that level of respect for him. What can we learn from that?
Well, Mr. Rafai, there are a lot of lessons to learn from the death of President Muhammadu Buhari. As we took this break, I went through my telephone and saw a lot of messages pouring in, which unfortunately I may not be able to say some of the sentiments expressed by people. One thing I should, until I die, give to General Buhari is that irrespective of what one feels, he meant well for this country. He was a patriot who would lay down his life for his country. And politics aside, I take politics as differences in opinion as to how to do certain things. You may not have all the information available to you when a leader acts, you outside the system. But what you cannot take away from the general is that he's trustworthy to a fault. And in fact, that was his undoing. Once he trusts you and gives you a job to do, he believes everybody was like him. That is why a lot of people, or I can say some of them crooks, took advantage of him and got him portrayed in a bad light. And these differences and criticisms you are talking about had mostly got to do was drawing his attention to what is happening under the table or on the table. I know the general had one weakness. If some people fight outside, and even if the aggressor is the first man to come to him and complain about the other person, he takes position because he believes that whoever complains first is just and is telling the truth. That is not what is obtained now in our country. And that is why you see a lot of things that you keep on imagining, what's happening? You should have done the other way. And this is why some of us came in. Actually, if we had been listened to, it could have assisted him much, much better to run the country. Because you don't read the frame of mind in the construction of the face. And people who benefit from you are likely not to tell you the truth. And in my own politics, I believe that that man who criticizes me is more of my friend than those that praise me. Because in the criticism, it would enable me to look at things differently, either to reaffirm faith in what I am doing, or even discover that I had been wrong. So I don't take the criticisms I made on his government and some of his policies as a personal hatred or a dislike for him. That is my take, and I will continue to look at that. I'm writing a book. I've gone through some chapters. Some of them are very critical of his policies or of his stand on certain issues, but not on his person. And I wish I will live to see the launch of that book, and I will invite Rufai to be part of that ceremony.
Anytime soon. You continue to be there for us. You'll be a rallying point, and we appreciate you so much. And you mean a lot to us this morning. And thank you for your kind words, Vimbai.
Absolutely. Just very quickly, sir, before we
Thank
let you go, very, very quickly. You know, I know you said you hadn't had access to him in about 10 years, but you were together for about 15 years before that. Just very briefly, sir, what were the things that kept you guys going in those 15 years of trial and error and, you know, election, campaign, and you kept trying and so forth? Just give me a sense of those days when you had such strong belief and conviction that he needed to ascend to the highest office in the land.
Well, some of us who recruited him into politics had a mission. And I will reveal that mission today. General Buhari came into politics. It wasn't his province. He never liked politicians because he believed we are fake and that we don't mean what we say. But there was an incident that made some of us to recruit him, convince him, and use the other people to convince him to join politics. And even though we had our own agenda, because in 1999 and 2000, the OPC was on rampage in some parts of the country, especially Southwest, and have inconvenienced a lot of people from this part of the country. And to the extent that they mobilized over 500 vehicles to come and invade Ilorin with the sole aim of uprooting what they called Fulani structures in Ilorin. And we felt that was too much. And Obasanjo was doing nothing. President Obasanjo was doing nothing. President Bola Tinubu, then governor of Lagos, was doing nothing. And some of us felt that those group of people were being encouraged by their leaders in position of authority. So how do we stop that? And I called a meeting in Kaduna at Alhaji Bashir Dalhatu's house in a place called Unguan Kaji, directly opposite the house of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And some of those we invited included Alhaji Wadanas, Professor Yadudu, Bashir Dalhatu himself, Alhaji Yahya Sulehama, and a host of others, about 34 of us. And we sat down to reason. how do we save our people from this OPC menace? So we said, I suggested that we have to, because you remove government through only two ways: the bullet of through the barrel of the gun and through the ballot box. And they said it was impossible to challenge General Obasanjo. That was how Buhari came to our mind. And when he was approached, he had a very unkind words for politicians. But since he didn't say he was not doing, we still pursued him. To cut long story short, we achieved our first purpose of putting a brake to what OPC was doing, because immediately Buhari joined partisan politics, and we had a very big outing in Daura to initiate him into politics. The Obasanjo government became restive and was shaken to its bone marrow, and because those were some of his our thinking. So Obasanjo had to really checkmate the OPC. So for that reason, we have achieved our first purpose of bringing General Buhari into partisan politics. So the remaining now is history. They wanted to dismantle, as what is happening across the country now. They wanted to dismantle his platform of ANPP, APC, ANPP. And we made a counter platform by establishing the Buhari Organization, TBO, which we used as a platform for promoting his political ideals. Of course, all these are now history. Some smart people who are politically ambitious came in and threw us out. That is how we parted ways with him. Those of us who followed him blindly for 15 years, Suleya Hamma as our leader, and myself as his deputy and the operational head of the Buhari Organization, we agreed that we should not look for political appointment, or we should not look for elective office. Our idea is just to push General Buhari to become president, so that if we become the engine room of his government, we would now influence certain things in the country. And we had those things listed in our minds. And the greatest mistake was that, and it's what people also see as Buhari's inability to do well in government, because he has cut the umbilical cord, those who brought him and have ideas about what he has to do, and he recruited new people. And these new people never had an idea at all as to why even Buhari joined politics. But all these are now history. We pray that God grants him Al-Jannat al-Firdaus, and we pray that God receives him and forgive him. For some of us, we have forgiven him already. Definitely, Buhari wouldn't have done anything outside what God has destined will happen.
Okay. Alhaji, thank you so much. We're looking forward to your new book. You will leave to be able to write that story and tell it. And we'll be there to celebrate with you when you launch the book. And it will be another, repository of Nigerian history, and we'll learn from you. Like I said, you're not going anywhere soon. I wish you the very best of health. Trust you're doing better now. We heard you've been under the weather for a bit, but we're happy to see you doing well. Thank you so much, Alhaji. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.